just talking about coins falling from the ceiling, and I just heard a ting. And I've got, what if I got that tings in here? That, see, there's a bench, but there's no wind in this caravan. And I just heard this, listen. That's what I heard. Honest. And it made me get up just as I posted the gold coins and the, oh my God, I just posted the gold coins and I read the title. I didn't bother watching it. I just sent it straight to Messenger because I've just testified about these $1 and $2 gold coins that fell in the fish and chip shop and the penny just dropped, right? So I just linked it and I'm just sitting here. It's totally quiet. See, look, we've been for a walk, right? Everyone's asleep. And I heard this. Made me get up and check. And that's what it is. It is not a gold coin. But it is one of those little dog treats. Oh, no. These dog treats, right? I broke them up tiny to give to the pups, but they never ate them. They're too young. It was about 2 weeks ago, a week ago. And that's one little bit of dog treat. Okay, so did it fall off the corner? There's no wind. The bowl happened to be there. Of all the places, that if anything was going to fall, I wouldn't hear it. Listen. Oh, I suppose you can hear that, but that you can hear. And guess what the title of my YouTube video is? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. And I know that too. My wee darling Amy, when she was 5, went to a Christian school. And her teacher rang me up. And she said, do you know what your daughter's done? That's exactly what she said. And I went, what? No. She made just about the whole school cry. And I went, really? What did she do? This is a young teacher. She's about 24, if that. I wasn't a teacher at that stage. Amy was the only one at school. She said, yes, we're having auditions and anyone could get up and put on a performance for the talent quest. And we didn't have anyone as young as Amy do it. But she got up and she sang. We had microphones. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And she said that there's something about her tone. And we were just stunned, all of the teachers. And there were tears in our eyes. And she said we're gonna put her in the finals and send her to the competition. Like it was at a big church. I think it was all the Christian schools. So we went and watched her perform, and it was from then, it was that day on that I scratched up every penny, and my husband was so strange. He never shared our income. He had his money, I had mine, and I was on a benefit, just getting extra money from family support, it's called, to pay for singing lessons at school. There was a high school student who who had been through the Canterbury Opera Chorus. And she instructed Amy, and she said she knew what tone she had, and she recognised the talent. And then the year that these pennies dropped, the year after that, this testimony is that Josh turned 5. We got to know one of his friend's parents. They owned a fish and chip shop. It was just before Christmas, 2002, I think. He was born in 1997, in December, on December 29th. He must have been turning 6. 1997, 1998, 1999, 200, yeah. He was turning 6, it was 2002. So it was before his birthday. We must have got to know the parents before the birthday, because he had it at a pool. A swimming pool. It was my very last day at the New Zealand Graduate College of Education. I had studied for a year and a half, and I'd worked all that day and just got my last bit of paperwork in. It was the last day before Christmas, and my husband met me at that fish and chip shop because my school was in town, and he was there with the kids. He picked them up from crash. We went into the fish and chip shop. There was a man standing there. The kids were there, sort of jumping about a bit, you know, what kids do. Josh was 6, Amy would have been 9 or 10. 10. Emily was under 5, she was 4. And there was a tall man there on our left just waiting to pick up his order. And I heard a ting and a coin fell. Well, I sort of heard it and I saw it and I thought, well, it fell out of his pocket. So I gave it to him and he said, it's not mine. So I just thought, well, it's just in the shop, it's not mine. I gave it to the lady in the counter. I don't remember the names, didn't know them very well, just a couple, right? But we thought we would get great fish and chips, and maybe even extra. You know, like we're hearkening back to the fish and chip testimony. The penny is dropping. This is confirmation. Then another coin fell. Then another coin fell. This time it landed on the counter. There was a stainless steel counter, quite high, you know, up to your chest, and it landed on the counter. And everyone had noticed it then, all the kids. That man had left, so it was just us. And I said, they're falling from the sky. And Josh was going, it's Mum, money. And we all looked up, and this is including Joseph, my big tall husband, and there was pipe work, like duct work in the ceiling, you know, like and we thought, is it coming out of the duct work? And then we, honest to God, Joseph and I looked around to see if there were any cameras, if it was candid camera. Now, I know I said, talking on Messenger, and I said there was at least a dozen, but let's just stick to at least half a dozen. And they just fell and fell, but they were so sporadic. But the lady, she had a wee collection in her hand of them. I gave them all to her. And then the chips come and it was like, well, we're not going to stand around and have our chips get cold. So we went and had a picnic. And that's what it was like. We had a family picnic by the Avon River. It's daylight savings. It's Christmas. Then the next day, my husband was in the garage and I went out and I said, what's wrong? You know how you can read the man in your life. I said, what's wrong? And he looked at me and he said, I feel like I'm going through something like, and he hearkened it to some other feeling that he's had before. And I said, yeah. Okay, and I was concerned that he was like, straight away I was concerned that it was like, he's having like a midlife crisis or something, the way he was. And I said, and then the next thing he said is this, I want to separate. And I said, what, you want me to, who's leaving? What, you know? He said, you can go. I'll help you find a place. And I said, okay. Honest. And we slept together between then and New Year. Like once we got past the public holidays, we had Christmas Day. Once we slept in the same bed, we had sex. Once we got past Christmas Day, that he'd already found somewhere in the newspaper, wasn't too far away, and we went and we got a tenancy. We went there like we were married because we thought we'd have more chance of getting the tenancy, and it was just me who moved in. Honest. And this all harkens back to me going through my pick gallery, and not only did I send the Christmas ones, because I was looking for the fortnight one, which is about around the same time as I was bringing words about 3 Days of Darkness. Fortnight come on, and I must have already had my Paradise Island dream. It's called Fantasy Island. The plane, the plane, the plan, the plan. I googled it a couple of days ago. They call it Fantasy Island. Look, it's all out there. The Lord's managed, He's planned all this for my testimony. For my testimony. Orchestrated everything. It's impossible. I feel like click. So I'm looking for the fortnight one because it came up the ad and the Lord quickened it to me. He said, look, it's the island. He said, look, it's the island. And I could see them. And there were so many images in that ad. It was like a wee 3-minute skit. And I just knew that it was mocking the place where the woman in the wilderness is taken. The wilderness is not a wilderness, guys. It's beautiful. It's like paradise. It's Fantasy Island. It's like heaven on earth somewhere. But he didn't call it Eden, did he? He called it the wilderness because it's the opposite. See, that's what the Lord showed me. I scribed it on my book. If there's one thing about Click, it's about turning everything up. If there's one thing about me, this is what I used to say to my kids all the time. Opposite. Opposite. Sesame Street. Sesame Street song. That's what the Lord showed me. He showed me plural. A lot of things that are singular in the Bible are plural. Put an S on the end. That's what they did with Revelations when they changed the Bible. It's Revelations with an S. It's never been Revelation. And the false church can't see it. It's a really good way to sort the sheep from the goats. So we're talking about the false church now, because I'm looking at my thumbnails just before. And I put one up because I want to encourage these Americans. There's a rapture, guys. The Lord has taken you. He's not going to leave you. He's taking you. Babylon falls first. You know that. I'm watching to see the sheep jump. I'm trying to encourage you. Sleepless in Seattle. He gave me 2 romantic movies. I found the thumbnail and I sent that through. And it said, look up. And it meant look up, but it was a play on words, look up. And it pointed to the number on the door. So I was on Messenger saying, okay, let's look that number up. I think it's 608. Wow, in the last scene, she goes to meet her fiancé, and that's his door. They go to a restaurant at the same height as the Empire State Building, opposite, and look out the window after she's decided to break off the engagement, and he receives it really well. He's a nice enough guy. The ring is given back, and she sees the love heart on the Empire State Building because it's Valentine's Day. I've mentioned it, how they put Carly on the building. That was the name of the dog I had before I was a Christian. When the Lord started drawing me, when he wooed me, I asked the right question. I want to know what love is. But I didn't do it like that. I cried it. I want to know what love is out loud. I've never given it, and I've never received it. How many people will say that? They say I've never received it, and they sit in the corner sulking. But I said I'd never given it. Not real love. I didn't know what love was. I want to know what love is. Now, I had many love affairs, at least 7, I normally say, that lasted over 1 to 2 years, just short-term relationships. They were always relationships, they were love affairs. And every one of them, I lost that first love, that feeling. I've lost that love and feeling, lost that love and feeling. Because that's the angel I am. And God did a miracle with those coins. And he just did a little one there. Because that door was the false groom. It sounds sweet, doesn't it? But just remember, the Messiah will be the Antichrist for that church. It's not that sweet when you think about a red wedding. Anyway, it's presented lovely in that movie. It's a romantic movie that the Lord God turned up for us. And at the end, when she runs over and goes up the stairs and turns up at the Empire State Building, it's an old movie from the 1900s, early, remade, sort of. A couple meet for the first time. They write from one side of America to the other. That's how the rapture happens. So they're in New York meeting, but The groom lives on the other side in Seattle. You know it. It's Tom Hanks. Yeah, the bad guy. Well, no, he's bad. He's not ugly. He's bad, though. The bad guy turned good for the movie, for the sake of the movie. Because God can turn anything up. And when they leave, it zooms out. Actually, I've already told you that when they're sitting at the restaurant, you can see the Twin Towers. And when they leave, it zooms out like a drone and it circles round the whole of Empire State Building. There's city lights, but there ain't no Twin Towers. And the city lights turn into stars that go up. Just like Mr. Reynolds' wonderful, clever ad. The ad that he released at Christmas. See? That's why it's your last Christmas. And they know about the picnic bench. They know about the bench seat that I've seen in visions, because they sit on the bench seat, the two of them, two fallen angels, Satan and his bug, and they look at that beautiful bridge, across the bridge. And the thumbnail that I made for that upload was before I saw the ad. And on the thumbnail is the bridge. And what do you see falling? Look pretty much either like shooting stars coming down or asteroids. It's your last Christmas. But the Lord showed me the exact same thing, which initially started as the city lights all over America going up. Yep. Up. He's taking you off this earth. He is. Isn't that wonderful? So once I saw that, I knew. Like, I know I'm not going, but I can see why he would do that for America. Isn't that lovely? So, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. I know what they are. I know what they are. And my first husband, Joseph, talked about it for a long time, and I'm pretty sure he shared that story a few times about those coins. But I never lived in the household from that day on. Do you understand? That was the day he kicked me out. But do you know what? God's turned it up. It was me, it was him who chose. It's like I left the wrong groom that day, and the penny dropped, and the penny's dropped now. The penny has dropped. So then I thought, well, I might just testify. I've got evidence. If I could talk to Joseph, he would just, like, if I had my phone and said, do you remember the fish and chip shop when the coins, with the coins? He would just go on about it, right? Well, Josh was 6, and I'm sure he recalls it. That's my son. So I've just messaged him, but he doesn't respond very quickly, or sometimes not at all, but hopefully he does. I don't know how to get him to respond. could telephone him, but I just had to leave it in God's hand. Because the thing is, I looked and I thought, oh, the last time I sent him something was, and he never responded, was he says, oh, when he does chat, he says, oh, I didn't see that, Mum. I thought it was conspiracy stuff. Do you know what I mean? You can relate to that. So I looked, I sent a screenshot to my friend. And I said, now it's just a waiting game, because he could confirm it. And all I did was send him a picture of these coins, and it just says the penny drop. And I just said, remember the fish and chip shop? I'm telling a friend about it. Can you help me not look like I'm crazy? You were only 6, because I've done the maths. He was 6. So you've got to take into account that he was 6, but I'm pretty sure he remembers it. But if he doesn't remember it, it's because he's 6. But I'm pretty sure he does. And probably would have been something that him and Joseph would have talked about, even Emily. Emily was 4, maybe not. But so I'm pretty sure he'll know and say something. But we'll just wait. But whether you believe me or not, the Lord's confirmed it in another way. And that's because I sat here and it's real quiet. And it went ting just when I went onto my YouTube and searched through. All I got to do is put. Did you know you can do this? You just put a sort of like a main word. So I just put coin, and it came up. There was only one that came up under coin, and there's a picture of $1 and $2 coins, and it says it was a month ago that I testified about the coins. There's a lot of other things in it, and I haven't listened to it, but its title was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. This is starting to get weird. But I pray that the Lord is doing this and reminding me of this, so that your experience now will be the penny dropping. Because it's wonderful to have this beautiful heads up from the Lord. It really is. So remember, 608's the wrong door. And it means shut the door. Because if you're not for him, you're against him. Do you understand that? If you're not allowed entry, because there's only one reference. Look, it's about look, I can't, all I did was screenshot it quickly, but I know the scriptures. It's not about the ones that come and say, we did this and that in your name. It's the same, it's a different gospel, but it's the same story. The door is shut. Something like that. But just look it up. I could put the reference in the thumbnail, but what I really want to put in the thumbnail is it's about the taking away of Babylon in it. So I will do Sleepless in Seattle, and I'll try and put just that penny drops in there, okay? Later on, if I grab my other phone, I'll be able to show you the messages, so you can see it's documented. Please go and watch the movie. 2 romantic movies, Message in a Bottle, Wrong Bride. We've just got to flip it. Okay? He chose the dead bride. That's not a good story, that one. It's like the door, 608. Please shut that door. Make sure you know him. You know him. And he knows you. That's what's most important. Salvation, they say, is irrevocable, but, well, maybe it will be. Maybe what the Lord's going to do between now and when we all leave is ensure that everybody is turned up properly. And I don't doubt that he can do that, because he's done it for me. So it may be that we all enter the kingdom that have found the Lord, but I think there's a problem. You look at the angel's messages to the church, there is a problem, because it just says that those that overcome will get this and that reward. From me, you get to eat from the tree of life. From Click, you get to leave with the Church of Philadelphia. Quite likely, what I saw was the Church of Philadelphia leaving. I think that's probably most likely. I don't know. I can't call it the bride. I don't like it's because it's such a small amount. It's not a big amount. It's not a large amount. You know, America is not the world. I know you all think you are, but it's not. The Lord is doing things on the islands where I am. Yeah. He uses the foolish things in this world to confound the wise. You think it's going to be the big, grand. No, you're Babylon. Such fools. Such fools. Thank you for your grace and mercy, Lord. Please do not take our names out of the book of life. I know that you're worthy, and you've said you can, and you can spit us out. And you won't let us in if we're not ready. So I can tell you one thing I know for sure is those stars that are going up are the ones that are ready. So get ready. Are you ready for this?